based on the Phillip Capital's report for BJP manifesto in 2019. How do you think that turned out?
What this government has done in the last 5 years particularly is tremendous work. They have got to come back to power for execute all the policies they have announced.
What sectors do you think would likely benefit with the BJP coming to power?
Highlighting a few automobiles looks good. Financials is one area where there is a lot of value. Fintech is a little bit of bubble. Right now where we are, there is penetration possible everywhere.
Coming to BJP winning the elections, how do you see the foreign investments playing out?
It's not just FDI, all kind of foreign capital will come to India.
This agricultural sector, there's this services sector, and then there's this big chunk manufacturing.
Like you said, about 50% of the GDP comes from industries/manufacturing. Time is not far when we can actually take it up to 30%.
How is the government going to tackle the fiscal deficit situation currently?
So they had a plan to reduce it by 50 to 70 basis points. So we are right now sitting at about 5.7-5.8% of GDP.
तो इस बार बीजेपी का मोटो है अब की बार 400 पार. तो क्या स्टॉक मार्केट्स इतनी हैवी मेजॉरिटी बीजेपी की ना आने पर पोली परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं? Hi everyone, my name is Vidhan and welcome to another episode of Capitalize. Today we're at the Phillip Capital's office here with Anjali Verma, who's the finance analyst and who has gone big in the research for the BJP's manifesto and the analysis on how it will impact the Indian economy and the markets. So please welcome Anjali Verma on this podcast. So Anjali, you've been an analyst with Phillip Capital since a long
18 years.
18 years. I also happened to see your interview based on the Phillip Capital's report for BJP manifesto in 2019. How do you think that turned out, and what was great about it, and how has that shaped India's economy since last 5 years?
So see, back then, other than the BJP manifesto, we had travelled on the ground. We covered UP, Rajasthan, MP on road, travelled I think about 10,000 kilometers. Back then, we got a lot of confidence on BJP because while Prime Minister was around at that point in time, 5 years in his regime, but when we travelled on the ground, we saw a lot of respect, a lot of love for him. And when we returned, we were so sure that he's coming back to power. At that point in time also, there were all ifs and buts that people were talking about, but we were so sure. We wrote many reports thumping our views that he's coming back to power and therefore we should be positive on markets.
Awesome.
And even if you see in terms of manifesto that was announced back then versus what has been announced now, see, the policies of course are expected to be the same and a lot more, but what we are seeing in this manifesto is a lot of depth, a lot of strength, a lot of confidence, and therefore we feel with 10 years of experience they have had, and with this thought process which they have highlighted in manifesto, I think we are actually in a phase of decadal strong growth for India.
Awesome. You sound very, very bullish on India and the BJP's government handling how the economy is shaping up. So are you positive about the outcome of BJP's in this election?
Yes, absolutely. So, whatever work we are doing, we are always assuming that this government is coming back to power. We are not in the business of predicting numbers, so not wanting to do that. But we are confident that they will come back to power. Majority, alliance, whatever it is, they are going to come back to power and we will see continuity in the policies. And like I said, we are waiting for a lot more reforms to come. And I feel, what this government has done in the last 5 years particularly post-COVID, is tremendous work, and they have got to come back to power for execute all the policies they have announced.
Oh, nice. So, assuming that you're confident and that BJP comes into power, what makes you most excited about their policies, and what are you most excited about? Around what sectors? You can take this question in whatever direction you want.
Okay. So, see, one is the growth focus that they have across all the steps that they have taken in the past, all the policies that they have announced. So it is not a short-term vision that they are working with. It's very clear. We are noticing it for the last 10 years. Now, just think about this. Prior to 2019, we saw India growth, GDP growth, actually and gradually coming down to 5% kind of level,
Okay.
right? So in our market, there was always a concern that we have Modi, BJP in power with a huge majority. Why is it that growth is not happening? There were, when we were meeting people, there were some concerns, some kind of complaints. People were not so happy because what was happening? We were seeing a lot of underlying changes, right? When this government came to power, it was not just about coming out with 8% GDP, just making some announcement and money will
Right.
start to come in.
Right.
Because what they wanted to do and what they have been able to do is to actually make real level changes at the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, if we start from the very ground level, okay, so they have tried to do their bit for the rural sector. Now, when we say rural sector, earlier it used to be just some bit of road construction or some bit of freebies. Now, what this government has done is freebies. I mean, it was very difficult for us to even envisage that there will come a time when freebies will actually be sort of negligible, and they will try and focus on a model which can sustain by itself.
Yeah.
Right. So now they don't have to announce, okay, there will be some kind of loan waivers or they're going to be some kind of freebies. Now, why I'm highlighting this is this became more pertinent when they did this soon after COVID. COVID was a time when we saw rural segment suffering the most, right? So they offered support for the about 6 to 8 months, and as they realized that the people are not suffering as bad and they have benefited from the benefits they had announced back then. So we were seeing that rural segment was stabilizing and we saw demand recovering from there. That's point number one. Number two, what the government did back then is, of course, continued with some kind of support which was needed, but focused on the reforms which are long lasting. So we had, if you remember back then, we had Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. She did back-to-back press meets for 5 successive days. And in that, they did not announce anything which was, with short-term vision. They announced everything which was medium to long-term vision. They talked about agricultural policy reforms. They talk about reforms in food processing, right? So everything which is not immediate in terms of benefit, which of course requires investment from the government side as well as involvement of the rural public. But this is going to continue paying off, right? So that's point number one. Number two, what they have done for businesses, what they've done for corporates, right? Again, I would want to highlight when we used to, look at corporate segment in the past, there were a lot of gaps, right? There were a lot of issues that investors are not being heard of, businesses are not being heard of. I think what has really changed now is that government has got their eyes open. They're open to hear to everyone's views. They try and incorporate as much as they can. Like even if a policy has been announced, if they get the feedback that it is not going to be very effective or not going to result, in the goals that the government wants to achieve, they are very quick to even adapt the changes, not scrap it, but basically, further work on it, evolve it, so that they are able to meet the end objective. So there are a lot of changes that have happened in the last, 10 years. And now, of course, when they come back to power, there are a lot more expectations from them.
So what sectors do you think would likely benefit, and what sectors will likely perform negatively or will have a negative impact on them with the BJP coming to power? Okay,
so again, this is something that we've been saying for a long time. It is not one sector, two sector, few sectors which are going to do well. It's a holistic development we are seeing, and that is something where current scheme of things are different versus what they were in the past. Right. So even when we look at corporate earnings, when we look at stock markets, when we look at economy as a whole, it's not one engine which is doing well. It is not two segments which are doing well, because when that happens, then there's a risk to growth, right? Because if let's say one segment slows down, overall, let's say out of 20, 4 or 5 are doing well, then we can't thumb the table and be so bullish on India, be so positive on markets and growth. But now what we are seeing is about 15-18 segments are doing well out of 20, just giving that number to you. So even if there is some bit of slackening in one area, we have holistic or whole set of segments which will be doing well. Like just to highlight, recently we were seeing some bit of softness on discretionary, X of automobiles. So automobiles is one sector which was doing quite well. But let's say retail space, some bit of retail space, some bit of consumer durables. So this segment was a bit tepid because we saw a huge pent-up demand after COVID, right? So after that, this slackening was expected, but it was slow. But then there were so many other sectors which were doing well, like cement, metals, real estate, financials, overall infrastructure space. But just to still give you few sectors, since you're looking at, to get some answer over there.
Also, the stock market audience is looking for some answers.
Yes. So see, we are from a long-term point of view, we are very, very positive on markets. Of course, the underlying and the biggest assumption here is that this government comes back to power. Now, they come back to power, they have to focus on executing the policies that have been announced in the past and announcing more and more reforms, right? Because there is still a lot that is to be done, which PM himself highlights. That picture to abhi baki hai, right? So they have to announce a lot more reforms, deliver on what has been announced in the past. A lot of while globally we are a much more acceptable democracy.
Definitely.
We have a tremendous political stability. But they have to keep building on that, right? Assuming all of this, plays out, I'm expecting markets to continue delivering very high returns.
What do you mean by very high returns?
So see, we had done this research work wherein we try to do some long-term forecasting. And even if we do a conservative scenario, we expect Nifty to be at 40,000 by financial year 30.
By financial year 30.
And here, like I said, we are still building conservative and trying to be realistic. But I think actual numbers can be more bullish.
So 40,000 is how much? Almost 80% from the 22,000 levels. In 6-7 years time. What's the CAGR we're seeing here? And what's a conservative number to what's a very optimistic scenario?
So I think about 9-10% CAGR is what we are building in. Bullish scenario can be 18-20% bullish scenario, but I think realistic could be around 13-14%. Those are the earnings growth that we have seen in the past, and similarly I would anticipate if it continues going ahead.
Got it.
And in terms of sectors, just to highlight, so we continue to like again, we like many sectors, but just highlighting a few. Automobiles looks good. Financials is one area where there is a lot of value left for investors, because that sector hasn't delivered high returns. But fundamentally, if you look at the earnings, it's on a strong footing, right? But I mean, over there the concerns are from RBI, some bit of regulatory changes
in the financial space.
But see, that also we should look at it from a positive side, from a long-term perspective, because what we understand is that RBI is ensuring that there is no bubble building up,
no fraud,
absolutely.
No bubble,
So we've seen. So see, another aspect that we should keep in mind is a lot of the growth that we are seeing is also being funded through borrowing, leverage, right? So as such, it's not considered very healthy when it becomes large. But at the current juncture, it's still manageable, muted, and that is what RBI is trying to manage, right? So rather we should give credit to RBI that while there's a credit growth of 14, 15, 16%, but if it is balanced and it is checked, and we have confidence that there is a regulator who's looking at growth in every segment which is under their control, the growth is going to be much more sustainable, right? Now, keeping that aspect in mind, we are also quite positive on financials. Now, financials again, fintech is a little bit of bubble, where things, that is what RBI is trying to address right now. But otherwise, we like the entire space of financials, because see, when we are positive on Indian economy,
financials have to be there.
They have to fund the growth, right? The entire funding has to come from the banks and NBFCs. So they are participating quite well, and the best part is they are in a best of health. Banking sector at the current juncture, NBFCs, because they have become large over the last 7-8 years, and they are very clean at the current stage. So what RBI is ensuring is that we do not see something that we saw between 2015 to 2017-18. So I think we should look at it, a very healthy participation by the regulator, and therefore we believe that maybe with a lag, but this sector can deliver, reasonable returns. Infrastructure has been this government's, core focus.
I want to
Okay, sure.
double tap on the automobile sector first and then on the finance sector as
Sure,
well.
sure.
So automobile sector has recently performed really well. A huge surge in car sales, the EV car sales and everything. But the recent Tata Motors dip of 9-10% due to a weak forecast in how many sales or how the numbers would perform going forward. And with the introduction of many government policies and to say matlab the foreign players can enter the Indian markets, is that good for the Indian automobile players? matlab maybe shayad car walon ke liye nahi, but should definitely be positive for the other ancillary parts, if we can say. What's your take on that? Has the best is the best behind us?
No, not at
Definitely
all.
not?
Best is definitely not behind us. What we are, so see, best part about India, or I won't say the best part about India, but right now where we are, there is penetration possible everywhere. Be it air conditioners, be it cars, be it two-wheelers, motorcycles, EVs is just starting, right? And then there will be hydrogen dependent cars which will be manufactured. So this penetration has just started, and I think there is space for everybody. Okay, even if there is competition, but even if let's say Tesla comes in, there is space for everyone because penetration is still very marginal. That's first point. Second, I wouldn't want to specifically talk about Tata Motors because that's not what I can comment on. But I see the way the sector has rallied, the way stocks have rallied. Investors have made a lot of money. Just a 9-10% dip should be considered healthy, and because we are investing from a long-term point of view, and any such dip, is a good opportunity to invest. I'm not particularly talking about Tata
Suggesting
Motors,
stock.
but yes, we should be investing because, like I said, but okay. So for Tata Motors, the biggest change for them has only happened in the last 2 to 3 years, right? Their presence and their expansion in EVs, their expansion in SUVs. Right, and the product basket that they have created for themselves, that was unthinkable, and at such a short span of time that they've done, right? So stock has rallied from $200 to 1,000 rupees. So this
5x
much
it
we
has
shouldn't
gone,
be
yeah.
complaining about
Of
at all.
course, I completely agree. Let's just quickly go through the finance sector wala space. It has been underperforming, and I'm definitely on page with you कि RBI is actually doing a good job क्योंकि major economies, a lot of economies falter because their banks start giving credits जो कि unchecked रहते हैं, which needs to be really taken care of, learning from the biggest giants like Europe, maybe UK, even US. 2008 financial bubble that we all suffered due to US ke banks faltering. So it's a bang on very good step that RBI is taking. Short term mein theek hai, it might be suffering. Just the stock prices are suffering. The Indian economy has to be doing
Sector
well.
as a whole is actually
is not.
gaining. Yeah.
The interest rates might also have to contribute that they're not very conducive. जिसकी वजह से maybe the NIMs, the net interest margins, which are in questions for the likes of HDFC Bank and others. Is the interest rate also affecting that? And how do you think this would come out, the finance sector,
Okay, so
if investors were to invest right now?
Yeah, so like I said, this is a good time to invest in this sector. This is at the current juncture one of the safest sector in terms of valuations and how the sector is placed fundamentally. As in if you look at the books of the banks, if you look at the way they are participating in growth, if you look at the management governance, so I feel that this is this sector can actually deliver one of the best returns.
Can you quantify that?
No.
No?
In the next few years, it can deliver stronger returns. Stronger returns.
Maybe a range on what you might be expecting. How could they be performing?
I would say 15-20%
15-20%
easily
category,
possible from where things are currently. Yeah. So that is possible. In terms of the role that interest rates are playing, so see, banks are smart. They manage the NIMs very well, while some portion is linked to the policy rate, which is managed by RBI. But otherwise, NIMs are being managed decently. As best as banks can do. Yes, we have seen the best of NIMs. That is well accepted. It is trending lower. But I'm not expecting the decline to be steep. I'm expecting the decline to be gradual.
Okay.
And that I think investors are aware of.
Awesome. Thanks for that answer. Can you just quickly explain to the investors what NIMs are? Very quickly.
Okay, so NIMs are basically net interest margin, what a bank makes from borrowing and the deposits that they garner. So on deposits, they have to give interest rate, and when you loan the money, you basically receive the interest rate. So the gap, or very crudely stated, can be termed as NIM.
Perfect. Thanks for that answer. Coming to BJP winning the elections, how do you see the foreign investments playing out, and the FDI investments? How do you look at this space?
So again, this is one area, all kind of foreign capital we've been very positive on. It's not just FDI, foreign direct investment. We are expecting venture capital, private equity, FII flows, be it debt, equity, all kind of foreign capital will come to India. We feel very confident about it because see, the kind of growth engine that India has become, and we are going to stay on this path for the next decade or longer. I think people say next decade belongs to us. I think next 2 to 3 decades belong to us, right? So foreign investors, I'm sure everybody wants to make higher return on their capital. They will have fewer opportunities anywhere else, and if they come to India, they'll be able to make massive returns. So I have absolutely no doubt. The fact that we are a very stable economy. See, it's not just the opportunities that exist here, even the other things that foreign investors consider in terms of the political stability, in terms of the geopolitical stability, in terms of the policy stability. All that has been clearly showcased by this government, right? And now when they come back to power, with like I said, I expect the return to be much more positive, much more. Using the aggression word in a positive way, and with a lot of confidence, right? So therefore, I feel that there will be a lot more faith of the foreign investors in India as this government comes back to power, third term in the running. Yeah.
Awesome. What do you think? So there's different. I also checked out the Philip Capital's report. So there are different sectors that majorly contribute to the GDP of a country, right? There's this agricultural sector, there's this services sector, and then there's this big chunk manufacturing that China capitalized on and took a huge leap in terms of the world's GDP growth. So India is currently lagging behind in the manufacturing sector, but it's doing pretty well with the services one. So what is the government specifically doing to make sure that the manufacturing sector takes up really well? And also answer, how can an average human who's complaining that there's unemployment benefit from such business initiatives that the government maybe is helping? And let's just focus on the manufacturing side of it, right? What's the government doing and how people can benefit from it?
Sure. So see, we were an agrarian economy. From there, we made a jump to services, and we missed the entire manufacturing expansion, right? So while industrial revolution happened, but it did not pick scale beyond a point. And services was easier to expand because all the small scale service segment, or I would say all the small scale service businesses were easy to set up, right? It did not require much approvals from the government. It could be small scale. One could make substantial profit even opening one shop, right? And then we have been very strong in terms of IT, in terms of our banking sector, financial services, if you see, in terms of overall construction activity, because that also forms a part of services. So it was easier to grow in services. And it did not, like I said, because it could be done at a smaller scale. When we talk of manufacturing expansion, it requires huge amount of capex, right? And therefore, a lot of investment is required, a lot of money is required. And that is why, first, from being an agrarian economy, we shifted or we became very large in the services sector. Now, coming back to manufacturing, because, when we study economics, we say agriculture. Second step has to be manufacturing / industry, and the third has to be services. So we, leapfrogged. Now we are coming back to manufacturing. Now, in my experience, manufacturing has not received any attention in the past, except for the last 4 to 5 years. Okay, so there was a lot of talk around it that we have to focus on manufacturing share to GDP. We have to enhance it. because that is an area which can result in huge employment generation. You know, the question that you asked. So what this government has done after COVID, that is where, you know, the major change has happened, right? So while from 2015 to 2019, you know, government focused a lot on cleansing the system, along with, you know, some bit of reforms that they could announce. Now, when that background work has been done, they are focusing on manufacturing. Now, so there are 2-3 ways to look at it. One, you know, one can say that because there are huge gaps in manufacturing, this is an area where anybody who focuses can result in, you know, a growth surging in this area, in this segment, right? Because you know, at one point in time, we were growing at 4 to 5% in manufacturing, right? Wherein, if you look at China, they would have grown at 14-15% year after year, right? So for China, if you know, study their economy, for them it was, you know, they followed the usual growth phenomena from agriculture to industry and then to services. So for them, services expansion happened towards the end, right? If you see, like you said, about 50% of the GDP comes from industries / manufacturing. Yeah. For us, it's just about 22-23%,
20-30,
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, government wants to take it to, at the current juncture, they are still talking about 25.
Yeah.
And I think time is not far when we can actually take it up to 30%. So point is, there is such a huge scope and potential for growth in this segment, right? Now, what this government has done, instead of just talking that we need to expand manufacturing, you'll have to incentivize, right? Because, like I said, there is huge amount of money, huge amount of capex which has to go in setting up a manufacturing plant, even a small scale industry, right? So that is what this government is doing. They are trying to, one, offer incentives, right? See, because that is how China build, you know, towns after towns, right? Industries after industries. And I'm not saying that we should go do it blindly. Of course, there has to be, you know, a proper plan, a proper strategy, and it has to be to the strength of India, right?
As per our own demographics.
Absolutely, right? So what we have seen about this government is that they are incentivizing it. Now, when you incentivize, we are seeing tremendous interest. We are seeing expansion. Like the biggest example is electronics. Okay, so, you know, government has announced PLI, which is product linked incentives, right? They have announced it for about 20 odd sectors, right? So the initial one that they announced was electronics, because we are trying to curb our imports from China. Mobile phones, you know, all the young generation has been using a lot of mobile phones, a lot of electronics, right? So we are trying to curb imports over there, because when we are importing, we are also giving away our forex reserves, right? So what government is trying to do is that they are trying to curb imports, and this one was a relatively easier segment to expand, right? So they gave incentives, and then the way this expansion has mushroomed, okay. Now we are seeing our own domestic players expanding, like Dixon, Amber. You know, they were so small prior to the, you know, incentivization policy that government announced. They have become so big, right? Air conditioners, you know, government has announced some benefits. So this is how they are trying to incentivize. Now, again, these incentives are going to play two roles. One is manufacturing. Second is you expand manufacturing and you make it so large that you can even export, right? So when we talk of GDP, we are going to benefit in two manners. One is manufacturing in India, which is going to be for our own consumption. It will also result in, you know, revenue generation, employment generation. It will have its own multiplier benefits. It will have allied industries which are going to mushroom. And then we are going to export. Now, benefit to exports. So see, now another benefit that government is giving on exports is through these agreements that Indian government is signing with different countries. You would have seen. So we term them free trade agreements, right? So this was also in lull, you know, a few years back, and now the government is trying to revive it.
What's the free trade agreement? Does that mean the countries who will be importing our products, they won't be levied much of taxes on
Yes, it works both ways.
Okay.
So the products.
Same country से इधर पे भी अगर आते हैं, then it's not.
Yes. So it has to be उनका भी benefit होना चाहिए, हमारा भी होना चाहिए. So it has to be beneficial for them as well as for us. And at the same time, we have to take care, you know, of our sensitive segments as well, right? So we cannot expose agricultural sector massively, right? So
for fears of being exploited.
Yes, because see, our farm, we have, you know, we still say that about 60 to 70% of our population is still dependent on agriculture, right? And because of the weather volatility, if there is some impact in terms of the crop output, then their incomes get impacted. And then if there is more competition that we receive by opening the agricultural sector from the foreigners, then our farmers are at
plus
a
they're
risk.
not educated and well equipped with capital or with resources or with skills or maybe the machinery and
Yes.
So fair enough.
So government has to do it in a very careful manner.
Yeah.
But as that space is also opening up, this is going to be an added benefit for anybody who's investing in India and for our own domestic investors.
Got it. So manufacturing, you're bullish on it. The government is taking up some, giving some incentives and policies for more people to come on the bandwagon, and even the international companies to come up and set up their manufacturing units. This is going to help people in two ways: generate employment and boost the GDP, and then this foreign trade and international trade aspect as well, which will increase our exports and things like it, right?
Yeah, and plus it will make products for India cheaper.
Yeah.
When manufacturing will happen in India, we will not be importing like iPhones and Apple. All the products will be cheaper when they are manufactured in India. So that is going to be one of the very important and key benefit, because that will bring inflation also down, because supply side will be well addressed. So that is going to be like I said, a big positive, because see, even in terms of inflation, which has been a bit of a concern in financial year 24, but now it's cooling off, and as manufacturing starts to happen in India, that will have a very important impact on the prices as well. So prices for the products which are manufactured in India can also go down, should also go down.
Of course, that completely makes sense. So government tax revenues तो बहुत ज़्यादा collect कर रही है. We are continuously seeing कि भाई अप्रैल में नया all time high tax revenue collection हुआ, जनवरी में हुआ. तो tax revenues government अच्छा collect कर रही है, expenditure भी काफ़ी कर रही है. But how is the government going to tackle the fiscal deficit situation currently? क्योंकि अभी भी expenditure is a lot more than the revenue that the government is able to collect. So what is your take कि government fiscal deficit पे कैसे tackle करेगी?
So fiscal deficit, as such, government has already brought it down after COVID, because post COVID it had expanded substantially, and that of course was unsustainable. So they had a plan to reduce it by 50 to 70 basis points year after year, right? So we are right now sitting at about 5.7, 5.8% of GDP. That's how we term fiscal deficit. And then eventually they plan to bring it down to 4.5% by financial year 26. And they have been well in that trajectory. Now, what is helping this government while they are keeping capex quite buoyant? Again, this is very impressive. The way
What do you mean by capex?
Capital expenditure, which is infrastructure expansion, right? Now,
and buoyant means काफी ज़्यादा
बहुत strong है, right? तो जो capex, जो infrastructure expansion जो हो रहा है, एक तो क्या है, पहले जो हम infrastructure की बात करते थे ना, we used to say roads बन रही है, मतलब infrastructure हो रहा है. अभी क्या है कि even the definition of infrastructure is changing, because रोड्स तो बन रही हैं, बट वी नीड टू एक्सपैंड इन मेनी अदर वेज, राइट? तो अभी हमने क्या देखा है, इन द लास्ट 4 to 5 years यू वुड हैव सीन लॉट ऑफ प्रोग्रेस हैपनिंग ऑन एविएशन, राइट? तो हमने देखा है एयरपोर्ट्स, देयर आर सो मेनी एयरपोर्ट्स दैट हैव डेवलप्ड इवन इन स्मॉलर सिटीज इन इंडिया, राइट? सो दैट इज वेयर गवर्नमेंट फोकस्ड ऑन. देन दे laid their attention on metros. They were nowadays, I think, a lot of tier 1, tier 2 cities have metros running, and people are using it, finding the public transport very comfortable, which was missing since a long time, right? So that is another space that this government focused on. Uske baad abhi railways is where a lot of investment is going on. Defense, right? So very least investment was happening in defense, let's say 7-8 years back, and this government very rightfully has laid a lot of attention. Now see, we are not just investing in defense, we are also manufacturing in India.
Make in India.
Nobody could again think about that वो indigenous हम उसको जो बोलते हैं. So there is a lot of manufacturing of defense happening in India, and then eventually we are also talking of exports of defense, right? So that is another, we would term it as infrastructure expansion. So that is another area where this government is investing. So it's holistic again, it's not just one segment that roads ban rahi hai to infrastructure expansion ho raha hai, sab jagah ho raha hai. Ports, there also we are seeing more and more ports being built. So that is one area where government has been expanding. Now, when we talk of fiscal deficit reducing, because that is a target that government has set for themselves after COVID, right? So if you want to achieve that by FY26, what does that mean? That means two things. या तो आपके revenues बढ़ें या आप expenditure कम कीजिए, right? तो revenues तो बढ़ रहे हैं पर expenditure कम नहीं हो रहा है और expenditure में क्या हो रहा है that government is focusing on the important areas, right? So they are trying to manage it very well. क्योंकि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एक्सपेंशन जो होता है उसका मल्टीप्लायर इफेक्ट होता है, राइट? अभी एक रोड बनेगी तो सीमेंट का डिमांड आएगा, मेटल्स का आएगा, रियल एस्टेट बनेगा, हाउसिंग बनेगा तो उसका एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट होगा, और सीमेंट का फिर से डिमांड आएगा. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस हैज गॉट मल्टीप्लायर इम्पैक्ट एंड दैट दे clearly understood after COVID, right? So through our interaction with government, we always kept getting this feedback that capex has its multiplier effect and we understand its importance, right? तो अभी क्या हो रहा है, जो revenues बढ़ रहे हैं because of growth expected to be 7% plus, I think that is expected to trend higher. So that will offer a lot of support to government so that they reach the fiscal target without major stress on reducing spending.
तो इस बार बीजेपी का मोटो है अब की बार 400 पार. अगर वो 400 पार नहीं होता है, विच देयर इज अनसर्टेनिटी इन द मार्केट्स, जिसकी वजह से शायद अगर वो कम हो रहा हो, वोटर टर्न अराउंड उतना नहीं हो रहा है, तो क्या स्टॉक मार्केट्स इतनी हैवी मेजॉरिटी बीजेपी की ना आने पर पोली परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं?
So see, 400 par, I wouldn't want to really hazard a guess on the number because honestly it is a psephologist's job. But what I feel is, like I said, that they will come to power. Yes, if they come with a very low number, then there is a risk to markets cooling off quite a bit. But our expectation is that they will come with reasonable numbers, and that should keep markets supportive and continue trending higher.
Alright.
But yeah, worst case scenario, if that is how it plays out. See, 400 or not is fine. Even if the numbers are below 400, markets will not be negatively impacted because that has already been factored in as of now. If they actually come with 400 and higher, I think there's going to be a massive rally in markets because that is something that one is not really anticipating, at least in the markets. If let's say they come with a lesser number than 400,
what's the threshold you're looking at? Maybe.
So I think even if they come around 340 to 350 is a good number. 320, 330 also is a reasonable number. And what I want to highlight is, even if there is some knee-jerk reaction in markets, because of these numbers, as long as we have a reasonably stable government in power, next term led by Prime Minister Modi and NDA in power, even if there is such a knee-jerk reaction in market, we should be buying. Because like I said, all the plan that they have set for the next 5 years is going to be executed. It is going to be executed by the Prime Minister. PM candidate is not going to change. So that way, I think we should be good.
Alright, thanks for that answer. So coming to the possibility कि stock markets मान लेते हैं बीजेपी पावर में आ जाती है, 350 के आसपास votes भी रह लेते हैं, market didn't react negatively. What next? Till when is the market going to go up? And what about the US recessionary fears?
Okay, so see, markets going up is not happening just by itself. There is a lot of story under playing, right? So when we are saying, see all the factors that I highlighted to you, be it GDP growing at 7 to 8%, be it all the policies that government has laid out, the kind of corporate earnings that we are seeing. So see, it's all connected, right? So when government announces policies, there is execution of those policies. From the execution of those policies, it is the businesses and the corporates which gain. Then employment generation happens. That results in higher demand. That results in higher consumption. Yep. Demand goes to the corporates, right? So all of this is all block by block building up, right? So that is what we are expecting, that this government stays in power. They continue to do more and more in terms of reforms and policies. Overall confidence is quite positive. Consumer confidence, business confidence, financial sector confidence is quite positive. So because of all these factors, so it's not all happening in the air, right? It's all being backed by fundamentals. So all that has to remain stable, all that has to keep building up. That is why we need a stable, strong government. And as they come to power, that is what they should be providing, assuming that execution is good and impressive. We expect fundamentals, earnings, GDP growth, employment generation, all to keep trending higher, and that therefore adds up and reflects in stock markets.
Of course. The results are a key factor by the companies, which have been pretty good lately. Do you expect the results and the growth in companies' numbers would go on in lieu with how it's been going so far?
Absolutely. So, again, we keep checking for all this data every now and then, because we need to be sure, the kind of bullish sentiment that we are sharing with our clients or with everyone. We need to keep backing it up with data, right? So that's the reason we track a lot of high frequency data. We track corporate earnings. It is looking quite strong. And like I said, it's not just one sector, two sector. We are seeing it pretty broad based. What is happening is, like I was earlier sharing with you, that discretionary was a little soft, like consumer space was a little soft. That is also turning around now, right? So we have one more sector which is getting added, which would be contributing positively.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's quite bullish for the Indian investors, that the results are expected to continue to come up nicely. And coming to the final question, there are US recessionary fears. राइट और डेटा काफ़ी पॉसिबिलिटी सजेस्ट करता है कि वो आ सकता है. आज तक के ट्रेंड में जब भी यूएस में रिसेशन आए, द एंटायर वर्ल्ड्स economy suffers and stock market suffer, since US has such a major chunk of its share worldwide. तो अभी आपको कैसा दिख रहा है ये वाला आउटलुक?
So see, US recession, instead of that, I would say a soft recession is more of a possibility. Again, I'm not wanting to predict that or forecast that. That's what I've heard experts talking, that there is a possibility of soft recession in the US. If it is a soft recession, I think it can be managed well, because even Fed is talking of a rate reduction as that starts to happen towards the end of this year, 2024. That will again offer support to growth, because the fact that Fed at the current juncture is not reducing rates aggressively is because growth is decent, and because of which inflation is trending higher, right? As the scenario builds up of a soft recession, that would basically mean that growth will start to soften. So should be the response of inflation, which basically means that Fed can reduce, more aggressively, and that again will, start to propel growth higher.
Yeah.
If this scenario is to play out, while of course it will have adverse impact across the world, but I think India, at the current juncture, again, I feel that we can be decoupled from this scenario, because we have our own growth engines, growth factors, which are doing quite well. And despite elevated interest rates that we have seen in India, the kind of growth that we are recording, the kind of corporate earnings that we are recording, is quite positive. So getting confidence from there, that even if there is some bit of recessionary fears in the US, as long as our own monetary policy deals with internal situation well, and like I said, government continues to do the good work they've been doing, I'm of the view that we shouldn't get impacted so seriously because of US recession. Now let's say if this mild recession becomes a full-fledged recession, then yes, impact will be there, because a full-fledged recession can be long-lasting, and in that case it will also dent our own growth scenario. Like exports will get impacted.
The services sector maybe.
Yeah, services sector will get impacted. IT anyways is not doing all that well at the current juncture. So yeah, in a case of serious recession, we will get hit.
Alright, so finally the investors are interested in knowing कि markets अभी overbought zone में हो चुके हैं, क्या इनमें एक long due थोड़ा सा correction आना चाहिए, या ये अभी भी continue करते रह सकते हैं rally अपनी, और अगर करते रह सकते हैं तो how do you see कि भाई year end तक कैसा जा सकता है ये?
Okay, so see, थोड़ा expensive है in terms of valuations. There are spaces which have stretched quite a lot, but again, अगर हमारा horizon is of long-term investment, then of course I wouldn't advise go aggressive at the current juncture, but from a long-term point of view, whenever there are corrections, we should keep adding to our portfolio, because in equity we have to have long-term investment in mind, and returns can only be made if we are invested in a long horizon. Yes, last 2 years we have made very fast, quick money, right?
Yeah.
It cannot continue like that,
Yeah.
and that also will be sensible, because markets have to mature,
Right.
And so I expect that every now and then, if there is correction, we should buy on dips. From a long-term point of view, we should keep buying equities, And yes, at the current juncture, it's a bit expensive.
Yeah.
It is stretched. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Anjali Verma. Guys, this was the complete interview that we had with Anjali Verma, the financial analyst at Phillip Capital. There are so many good news, and she's very optimistic on the BJP's manifesto and about how the economy and the stock markets will play out. So,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
so
for
thank you
doing
so
this.
much once again,
Thank you.
Anjali, for doing this. And yeah, all right, guys. I hope you learned. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments. And yeah, say bye to Anjali.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this.
All right, guys. See you in the next episode.